And our reaction to the fuel crisis tells you in one way all you need to know about Australia.
I can announce that my government has secured an additional 100 million litres.
We've been signatories to the International Energy Agency's arrangements since the 1970s, when there were nasty fuel shocks when I was young. We signed up in 1979. We were self-sufficient in those days in exporting refined oil products, petrol, diesel, etc. That started to decline about 20 years ago and has now fallen away precipitously. We're meant to have 90 days in reserve if you're not doing your own production, which we're not anymore. 90 days. And Australia is saying, oh, we've improved our fuel security, we've got 35 days. Well, Japan, like us, a trading nation surrounded by water with no crude or little crude of their own, it's 254 days. Right? That says it all. We're living in la la land. And I happen to disagree vehemently with the sugarcoating of this relief on excise and so forth, because I understand people don't like paying a lot at the petrol pump. But actually that money should have gone to saying, and a whole lot more money needs to be put before the Australian people, that in the national interest, high fuel prices are a problem. No fuel is an absolute crisis. We can't feed ourselves. We can't get our groceries around. We can't get our medical supplies. There are 5,000 products that we use. That's an actual number around about. Anyway, that are dependent, from medical supplies to foodstuffs, etc., on the petroleum industry. We can't live without it. And the idea that, oh no, all we need to do now is electrify everything, it can't be done. Only a third of our energy usage in this country is electricity anyway, and we can't get it all renewable. You can't. The reality is, I'm a farmer, I'm a pragmatist. There is no way with today's technology that we can make the tractors, make the trucks, make the four-wheel drives, make the machinery. There is no way we can fuel it. There is no way we can transport our product to markets. There's no way you can get it to the food processors and to the other people who use agricultural product to feed us and then distribute it to the supermarkets. There is no way we can do it without liquid fuel. I'm sorry, but there isn't. Are we actually able in this country to confront some simple realities like that? Or are we going to be purists and say, like the current energy minister does, oh, no one's calling for more fossil fuel. I can tell you as a farmer, me and my neighbours, we're all screaming for some more fossil fuels because we can't feed you without it.
And it didn't take a rocket scientist to know that something was going to happen, especially after the experience of COVID, and then there's been 2 years of war in the Middle East. Oh, wow, the Strait of Hormuz is closed for a bit. I mean, say what you want for how that's occurred, but it's not a surprise that it's happened.
Look, everyone has known in this country for some time there is a real prospect of trouble to our north. Anyone with half a brain has realised, and look at it now, something on the other side of the world's cut out supplies. If our shipping lanes to the north are disrupted for even a couple of weeks, let alone 2, 3, 4, 6 months, we're on our knees in days. Where is the leadership in Australia today?
Where is the understanding? Because I think that the excise was just, the inner city suddenly feel a bit of an ease. They don't really understand what's going on out in the country. And now, for the first time, people are hearing what farmers are saying. I think Carl Stefanovic does a very good job at trying to highlight that situation. But how much are you seeing the government and the ministers just talking to their base so that where they're getting re-voted as opposed to actually dealing with the country's issues?
Well, overwhelmingly, because they're not being honest about it. They should be saying right now, this is my point about the sugar coating with an excise reduction. The responsible leadership thing to have done would have been to have said, this is a real wake-up call. We actually have to find cuts in expenditure, raise money, do whatever we need to do to actually get that storage of fuel here so we can keep things going. Let me just repeat it. No one, me least of all as a motoring enthusiast and as somebody who depends on fossil fuels for running a business, likes high energy prices. But there's something infinitely worse. It's called no energy.
For people that don't understand what happened in the 70s, can you explain just what it was like when energy got to that, when fuel got to that point of potential crisis?
It was very serious indeed. It all arose out of the Middle East. America, in those days, was losing its self-sufficiency. It's now recovered it.
Yeah.
That's an important message in itself. It started to lose it in the 50s, really, 60s. By the 70s, they were importing, heavily dependent on imported oil, and there were shocks in the Middle East, and that dried up. And the imagery of America facing these fuel crises, it was extraordinary. And these things have enormous ramifications. Broadly speaking, what happened was that in the 70s, stagflation broke out. High inflation, no growth, and declining living standards right across the Western world. It's partly what got me interested in politics. I remember at my last day at school, I was in a cadet corps, looking at the very busy, one of the busiest roads in Sydney, and only about 3 cars went past in an hour and a half. There was a petrol strike on. Fuel, I realised then, is utterly important to a moving economy, and it's embedded in everything we do. When you go to the grocery shop to buy food in Australia, 20 to 30% of the cost of the food that you buy, depending on what it is, will have energy embedded in it.